Hey everyone, welcome to the Breakup Diet. We've got an exciting new guest on the pod, Carla Borges. Show yourself.
Hi, my name's Carla Borges.
Top model.
Oh, soon to be. Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
So you guys know each other through modelling?
Yeah, so we met at a shoot 3 years ago and we've just been friends ever since.
Since it clicked. Is the Scorpio Aries
Combo.
chemistry?
Yeah, no, it 100% works. You've seen me through my worst
honestly,
breakup.
it's insane. Yeah, actually.
Is that how you bonded?
It was, I think we were already pretty good friends then. And then when you moved to Bow, that was the trenches. I think the trenches were really...
Yeah.
You were going through it first and then you threw your divorce party. And it was literally a week. Like, we broke up literally a week before your divorce party. So I was like, damn, this could not come any better.
Buckle up, bitches. It's gonna get bumpy. This is the Breakup Diet.
So half of your relationship was open, right?
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
A lot of ups and downs. I don't think it was ever really like that nice in general. Like, there was always his feelings of insecurity and not really wanting to be in an open relationship with me, even though he never really said it until the end of the breakup. He was like, oh, I never really wanted to be in an open relationship anyways. I only did it because I was afraid to lose you. And I'm like, well, no shit, Sherlock. You could have at least told me, but because it's like, why would you extend this long to tell me that you never wanted to be in this type of relationship in the first place?
How long were you guys open for?
So we were together for almost 6 years, and so we were together like close for like 3 and then open for the next 3 as well. I was the one that opened it up. So I was the one, because at the time I was going through just finding out a lot of things about myself that, any normal teenager is going to go through and young adult is going to go through. So I found that like I was bi and I wanted to explore that. And then just before he went for uni, like in 2020, because it was a lockdown, I was like, do we want to open this up further? Because we're not gonna get the opportunity to see each other as often because of lockdown and all these like rules being set in place. Probably the next time I'm gonna see you is Christmas. So do you want to I want you to have the freedom and the peace of mind that if you do get to a point where you do see somebody and there is chemistry between the two of you, and you know that like you would, if I wasn't in the picture, you would do it. I'd want you to have the peace of mind to like just go for it. I was like, we talked it down, we set up some boundaries. I had one boundary to his 10 or maybe 20. I don't even know anymore. And like we kind of like moved on from there. As somebody who only had one boundary, he like almost broke that one boundary from like in the first 3 months of that like relationship.
What was the boundary?
Open. My only boundary was that as long as I'm still your emotional and romantic priority, like as long as you still see me as your future wife, mother of your kids, I don't care who you get with, especially like throughout this kind of like phase. So like you said, we got together so young, and at that point we were like 20 and 19. So I was like, listen, let's explore, let's give ourselves like the freedom to explore these things before we actually settle down at some point.
Why didn't you just break up at that point?
So I did do a first breakup first, and I remember feeling really, really guilty the first time we broke up. Like I remember like crying on my best friend's bed. Like we broke up literally in a park, and he went home and I went to my best friend's house, and I literally like cried my eyes out like the whole evening.
You felt guilty because you were like, that you hurt his feelings?
Yeah, I felt really guilty because I knew I hurt his feelings. And throughout our whole relationship, it was always like me worrying so much about how he feels that like I would prioritize his feelings over mine. And that's always how he always went, especially throughout the whole, like the first time that we broke up, I felt like crap about myself. I was like, oh my God, he must be so upset. But it's like, I never really allowed myself the grace to also feel it, to also actually, it's a two-way street. You also broke up with somebody that you really like. I'd rather myself be the one that gets hurt over him even remotely getting a scratch on himself. I was always like so worried about him because I knew that like I was more emotionally strong. Like I had the much stable core foundation of my confidence than he did.
So you broke up in the park and then you got back.
And then we eventually go back together. We then go back together because, young love, gosh, you feel like your world is falling apart. You can't live apart with each other. Just because it was like the first 2-3 years of our relationship. So we were still kind of like honeymoon phase. And then we kind of go back together. Weren't like necessarily like open up until like he was going off a year later. He was going off to uni. And then I was like, do you want to just like be open just to avoid like feeling like, oh my God, I don't want to like cheat on my partner kind of things. Which is ironic because your partner doesn't care. I don't care. Like I never cared. It's like I gave him, from the get-go, I gave him my full trust and my full loyalty that like, as long as you're choosing me, making me your priority, I don't care who you have sex with. To me, sex can just be purely physical. And so I was more than okay with him like being with other people. Like, but
the ideal woman for a man.
The ideal woman for a man, honestly. Men, like...
Slide in.
Honestly, when we broke up and I was telling her, like, we have a joint friendship group. And they were like, saying how, like, it's really weird that, like, he essentially had what every man dreams of. A partner who is hot, successful, and allows you to literally do whatever you want. He wanted to know if I had an interest in anybody, if I was seeing anybody, if I was talking to anybody, if I'm meeting anybody, where we're meeting, if I kissed anybody, if I had sex with anybody. Like, he wanted to know all. Whereas, like, in my case, I was okay with him. Like, if he go with somebody, I was okay with not knowing. Like, if he wanted to tell me, by all means, let me know if it was good, if it was enjoyable. Like, if you had fun, I'm glad that you had fun. I'm genuinely happy that you had fun.
Would that not make you jealous?
No.
Really?
I'm not.
Would that make you jealous?
Yeah.
No. I'm not a jealous person. I'm territorial because jealousy is wanting what you can't have or you don't have. But I'm territorial. Territorial is I'm marking what's mine. I know that's mine. So it's like, why wouldn't I mark it? But it's like, if a girl came up to him and was like, oh my God, I think like in my presence, and it was like, I think you're really like cute and stuff. I'd be like, oh my God, hell yeah. Appreciate my partner. He is cute.
I'd kill him. No, I'd kill him. That's stupid. I'd be like, you think what?
Slap a bitch.
Say it again. I dare you.
And I'd be like, yeah, hell yeah. Like, I'm like, you know that meme with Will Smith where it's like Jada Smith standing, he's like that.
Yeah.
That's literally me as a partner. It's like, I always want people around me to feel like they are just as great. Like they are like, I want people to know how, like if I'm friends with somebody or if I hold someone there, it's because I definitely think you're all that. You are that bitch or you are that guy and you're like successful and stuff. And it's like, I want the rest of the world to know. Like I don't gatekeep. I was so happy to show him off. He was very more than happy to gatekeep me. Like that's essentially what it is.
I think that's the thing with men do that though. I've heard that from friends.
Like they don't want freedom. The whole like, if you really love something and if it's really yours, set it free and they'll come back. Yeah, that did not apply in this case. He was like, I don't even want to give you a chance to fly back and then come back. There's no doing that. It was like, you're staying in this cage that I'm building. And he always knew that like I was way out of his league. Since high school. I raised his high school status. That boy, his high school status peaked. He peaked in high school, I would say, honestly. So obviously the first year that we started dating, I was in year 12. So I was like, oh, that's a little weird. So we're not going to be acting lovey-dovey like in school. But like his friends knew, my friends knew like who I was like dating. And like when we'd be walking to like lessons together, you know how like every year group has like the cool kind of like rowdy, like cool crowd boys? They will spot him. They'll be like, hey. They like be like, we see you. And I'll just be like, oh boy, let me just go to my science lesson.
No
like
way.
When I tell you I raised his status, like we'd pass by like year 7s and be like, oh, that's the guy who's dating like the really cute sixth former. This man peaked. Like I was like, your confidence came from me. Your whole personality, me. Like I raised you. I like nurtured this, which again, like even using words like this just make me realize just how codependent we became really quickly. Like, and I thought like at the end of the day, I was helping him through his mommy issues, but I was just like, I was just encouraging even more.
Can I ask a really dumb question? It might be really dumb.
Go on.
What is poly?
It's the opposite of being monogamous.
Yeah.
So monogamy is obviously just the traditional sense that a man and a woman will get together and they'll be like in a closed-off relationship. Polyamory means that you're somebody who can have multiple partners, like and be in multiple relationships at the same time.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. I was thinking.
Yeah, well, that's like, the natural definition of it.
So the breakup before you open things up, what was that like? What was that breakup diet
I feel like it was just such a like teenager, like my
How
world
many days?
I think we maybe lasted 2 or 3 months actually before we actually go back together.
That's
like,
pretty solid, though.
Yeah, no, that actually is pretty solid. But like, it was actually just
For
like
teenagers as
for
well.
teenagers. Yeah. We tried really hard. Like, I think it was like 2 months ish.
What did you do in that time?
Like, I was too worried. I had A levels to sit. I was crying between taking mock papers. That first breakup was when we really started getting like super codependent. And then we went to uni. Like, he went to uni.
So how did you navigate the rest of the open relationship, the remaining 3 years?
So after kind of like lockdown was over, and obviously we were out outside. It was hot girl summer and all that stuff. It was like that was like the first time I started going to like being on dating apps. And it's like, again, I tried to really hold his boundaries up, you know, the whole who I had an interest with. Also, like, one of his boundaries was that like I was in this, like, as long as it's not anybody that we knew, was kind of fine, which...
That is fair enough.
That is fair. Like, that's honestly fair enough. And that's kind of like the only thing that I know I did wrong, because I'm already very antisocial. So the only time I have to be social is with people that I play frisbee with.
in the open relationship.
No, I did not homie hop. I never go with any of his friends. Jesus Christ, no. I got morals. Gosh, no. It's really like, but that's what I'm saying. It was never any person that we knew that like that were directly associated within our group, like our friendship group. It's like people that we played frisbee with. I never hid it. I never hid it away because he wanted to know who I had an interest with. I'd be like, oh, it's kind of cute, and oh my god, you could feel the shift. The air would get tense. It would get heavy. Like, you could feel it so quickly that he would just get upset over it. And I'm like, you wanted to know.
Which one out of the 2 breakups was harder for you? The second one?
It was definitely the second one. Yeah, I feel like because there was just so much more history built up at that point. And it was like, we were together for 6 years, and people would literally joke about how like, oh, you're practically married now. And, you know, it's the whole like flex of like being high school sweethearts and like having found the one at the early age definitely played a lot into like wanting to hold on to it. Like, I always did feel that
societal pressure.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, I always felt like this is the one person arguably in the world that knows me the most. I didn't want to start over. I didn't want to have to like find somebody else, especially if I was still going through all those things. And opening up is really hard for me. Like, I struggle to like open up. I'm very overly independent, bottle up until you explode kind of girl. So I knew that like having to find somebody else that I would have to like tell my sub story again and where I come from and the things and the hardships that made who I am today. It was like, that's too much effort. It's like, nah, no thank you.
During your relationship, did you ever have doubts whether he was the one, or what did you think that he was your person?
I always thought like he was my person, or that we could definitely like make it work, because we were pretty compatible in terms of like personality and the hardships that we kind of like went through and stuff. A year ago, January, that's when I kind of like started thinking more about like, okay, now is like really the time to think, is the person that I'm with like what I like? And it's just, I started realizing and noticing things about him and his personality and things that he was doing or not doing. That was like, this is actually would be a deal breaker. There were just a lot of like times where he would trigger my trauma and like slut shame me, like in the relationship, especially after I went on a date with all the guys. And like, I didn't tell him that, oh, you didn't tell me that, like you said you're going to have sex with these people, but you did. And I'm like, well, that's the whole point of like our open relationship anyway, that we have the freedom to just do it. Well, you want me to like get off a guy's like lap and be like, sorry, let me just call my boyfriend real quick and ask for permission to have sex with you. Like, that's like, his boundaries were borderline pretty controlling, but because he was my person and I don't want him to feel uncomfortable and I want to uphold his boundaries, like I would still do it. And I would always feel so bad whenever I'd break those boundaries, because even though they're abusive, because you set them and they are your boundaries, I felt like compelled that I needed to like fulfill them. Like, I remember asking him, I was like, do you think I'm a bad person? Because we essentially broke up on the status that he felt like he was being cheated on for me not telling him that I go with like, that I saw 2 other guys and didn't tell him. And it was really hard for me to trying to like hold my ground and be like, but actually we weren't in a relationship anyway. I don't have to tell you who I see and who I don't see. Like, at some point he like called me filthy. Like, I think you're filthy right now from after liking from a date. And I was like, why do you think that's okay for you to like disrespect me and then expect 100% from me? In the beginning, when we actually did break up, I didn't feel like, I thought I was going through the stages, but I actually wasn't going through the stages. I thought I was like really compartmentalizing. Also, because like I had a lot of things going on in my life where I had like to give focus to that. So
was it like career?
New job, a lot of work going on for modeling as well.
So you broke up and you went straight busy, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it wasn't until like a friend mentioned how like my emotion have been very like incredibly volatile that it made me realize that actually I wasn't going through the process at all. I hadn't moved on. It wasn't until like we were at the pub and it was like, made a comparison. It was like the Carla you a year ago and the Carla you now, you are so much quicker to anger and to like explode than you were a year ago. Like, we know you're passionate, but now you're like destructive. Now you're destructive. Like, and that's really what made me realize that, oh my God, I didn't go through it. Like, I literally just bottled it all up. And it was like, that's when like the full like process of actually going through like a breakup started to happen. I was more quiet, crying more often. And like what I wanted to have like a closure conversation because I felt like I didn't get to say a lot of things on that breakup because again, I was at the push where I was allowing his feelings to take priority over mine.
When was the closure conversation then?
So we went non-contact from September to December.
So broken up on September,
went no contact. We were supposed to meet up in December to like decide if we wanted to talk again and maybe make like steps to being friends or amicable.
What were you seeking for, like, with the closure?
Like I said, there were things that I really wanted to talk about. But I realized that he told me that, and regardless of whether we have this conversation or not, that it wouldn't change any feelings that he had or any, like...
He was done.
So he, like, it seemed like from that conversation, it made me feel like he was, like, fully done. He accepted the decision. He accepted that there wasn't going to be, like, us anymore. After he told me that, I was like, you know what? We don't need to have that conversation anymore.
Oh, well done.
I'm going to save myself the ego, but I want you to unfollow me. I want you to like not contact me ever again. Don't send me memes. Like, we're going to go fully non-contact because I realized that I haven't moved on yet. And if I'm going to move on, I can't have any reminder in my life that you exist.
No, like genuinely like, out of sight, out of mind.
Out of sight. No, literally out of sight, out of freaking mind.
It took you about like 6 months for you to be like, oh, fuck this.
Yeah. Well, it was really fast. It was like the whole like, it was like crying and being like sad and then fully accepting that like, okay, this is the end. But trying to like do one final bargaining and then it was the full like, go fuck yourself like era where I was like, you know, I'm going to get hot. I'm going to mind my own business. I'm going to focus on the things that I want to focus on. And I'm just going to like go back to the person that I was before I even met you. Because at the end of the day, a part of that girl has been lost because she kept fucking making space for your feelings on her life. I think that's what made me even more angry was when I realized that like you may blame me for like how the relationship ended and saying how like I'm a bad person, but it's like at the end of the day I was 17 and then I was 18 and then I was 19, I was 20, I was 21, I was 22, and not at any point was I given the grace to be those ages. Oh, ew, I hate crying in front of cameras. That's disgusting. And it was very much like I was a child that needed to be protected just as much as you needed to be protected. Like, and it always felt like it was on my shoulder to always be the adult, to always be like, okay, this is how we're going to move on from this. But it's like, I was a child too. I deserve the grace of like making mistakes like a 17-year-old would. I found like my old journals. And like the person writing those journals always felt so guilty. And I always felt like I couldn't allow myself to be vulnerable because it would like it would show a message that this person that's like, oh, has her shit together, super smart, knows how to answer every problem in life, like actually is not that person kind of thing. So the girl that was writing those things is a very different girl from the girl who's like sat here right now. And obviously I don't know the story that he told his parents. His older brother actually hates me. Like he never really liked me from when we first met me.
Sorry.
So I don't know the story that you told your parents, that you told your brother, that you told...
Dude, like men always exaggerate the breakup. They make the woman sound like the worst fucking person.
Yeah, the friends that, you know, we used to have together, like, you can keep them because you all think the same thing. It's like, I've grown and I've always been the grown up among us. I've always been the oldest anyways in our friendship group. And it's like, whatever you decide to tell those people, I really don't care.
Did you lose your friends and all those friends?
No, I did. Like, if anything, those friends, I cut them off. It's like I cut off people the moment they disrespect me. I'm like, bye-bye. You can take it. But obviously, they're still all like we will still
There's
all
like community
yeah,
still.
exactly. So obviously, and we all do play the same freaking sport. So they like, I was like, you can keep the friends. It was never like, I was never upset about like thinking, oh, like, is it going to be awkward if you all hang out? Because actually at that point, I was already cutting off people individually in regardless of him. And I know that I'm never going to hold whatever opinion those people have of me because they were never in a relationship with you for 6 years. He has always been known for like being really good friends with girls. And it's true. He's always been pretty good friends. Like he's always been respectful. But like those friends don't know the amounts of like slut shaming that you did to me.
Ugh.
They don't know all the things that you've said to me that were very like hurtful. They don't know that side of you. Like the person that I know you were to me. Like, and I know you never would do that to any of your female friends, but you done it to me on your girlfriend, your significant other. You would like literally like, the moment like people would say something about me that you think it was maybe true, you would literally condemn me on the spot and just like be really disrespectful and really like also trigger my trauma in the process. And like once I like really started to deepen those things, that's when I was really like, I hate you. I do hate you.
Okay, so I feel like your breakup, you've been through every single emotion in the cycle, like the anger.
I feel like I also went twice through them. Like it wasn't just a one go. It was multiple cycles up until I was like, okay, I accept this.
So with everything that you've been through, what would be like your best advice?
Like one thing you did maybe, like did you journal, did you run?
I think the biggest thing that I've done that helped me like go back to who I was is that I understood what my flaw was that was keeping me from moving on anyways. And I knew that like that was me unable to kind of like process my emotion and compartmentalizing a lot. And it's something that I'm trying to do even more, which is I feel my emotions as they come, which was, I think, the biggest thing for me. Because like I said, I thought I was going through them, but actually I was literally having big outbursts of anger and realizing that actually you actually haven't gone through it. And I think a lot of people feel like they have to move on or bounce back so quickly. And it's like, you need to sit down with yourself. And I feel like I remember telling you this in Bo, where you literally just need to sit with yourself and feel it. I cried it out and I realized just like how much of the person I want to become, I already am. I remember sitting on the floor and just being like, oh my God, I never want to be like a bitter person or a resentment person or someone who like is so quick to anger, someone who like doesn't feel like they can be themselves kind of thing. And I just like realized like all the amazing things that I have, the traits that I am. And then at the end, the feelings that are going to be left with me are just feelings of peace. You're still a good person at the end of it. And you do deserve to like go get the shit that you want. Like allow yourself to like feel it out. Like, oh my God, I feel like helpless, I feel horrible. And then once you cry all of those out, you will feel like such a sense of peace because everything is just like let out. Like there's nothing bottled up anymore. You just kind of like become an empty vessel who's actually ready to be filled in with the things that you want to fill it in with. And that's like how I kind of like went back to being the bad bitch I am.
That's so beautifully said, Carla.
In general, like when people break up, there's typically a clear reason. Like someone did something, someone cheated, someone got upset, someone got hurt. That's why we broke up. But like because that situation was so murky and it wasn't necessarily things that were like concrete. It wasn't black and white. Like it does to say, like it wasn't black and white. It was so gray in so many areas. I think that's what makes it harder to move on. Because it's like if one of us had like cheated, they'd be like, yeah, you're a horrible person. We move on. Like if he had cheated or if he had like done something even like concrete, then I could be like, yeah, fuck yourself. And I probably wouldn't have gone through that. For some odd reason, on the future, if we end up like crossing paths again, I know that I would hate to still be the same person I am today in about 5 years. And I knew that I never wanted that. I wanted to like, if we met and we sat down in a coffee shop, I want him to be a different person. If anything, I don't wish him any ill or anything at all. I literally, like the last message to him was that I hope you can become somebody you are proud to say you are, because that's always what I wanted for you. And that's always what I wanted for myself. So I was like, I hope that's like in 5 years, if we ever cross paths, I hope me and you are two different people. Like, I just hope we actually did the growth that this needed. Because I would feel really bad if like in 5 years I was like successful CEO when you're still the same bum. I'd be like, ugh.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
I feel like you were so vulnerable, so
I don't like
raw
it.
about the breakup diet, the fucking raw diet, basically, with you. Seriously, it means the world that you opened up this much.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's really brave.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah, we love you so much. You've always been the superstar the entire time I've known you to be, seriously.
Honestly,
So
grind year.
always.
Grind year only. Honestly, it's such a weight off your chest, actually. And
Proud
I
of
didn't realize
you.
how much that relationship was actually a big weight on me. Like the moment we broke up, I just felt like, and it's one thing that I didn't want to accept. It was like there was a weight off my child, like my mental health. You know, it was lighter.